Woods and Plastics project, create a little car for 3D printing. So we'll start this time by saving our project. So give it a sensible name and a sensible location. Might need to create a new project called Woods and Plastics 2021. Okay, and then first thing we're going to do is put some pictures of the car in. So we go Insert Canvas, and from my computer, and then you need to navigate to the location of the car, and I'm going to put that in the front plane. So I select that front plane, and I want it in the middle like that, so that's fine. And then Insert Canvas, and I'm going to select the top view, and I'm going to select the top plane like that, so that I have the top on the top and the side on the side. And actually one of those cars is back to front, so I'm going to go into the canvases and flip that around. So edit canvas, and I'm just going to rotate that 180 degrees. Okay, so now they line up properly, but they're not going to be the right size. So I'm going to go into the canvas, right click on the canvas, click on calibrate. And then what we need to do is pick the end of the car and the front of the car. We're going to say we want that to be 30 millimeters long. So that is resize the canvas. We need to do that with the other canvas as well. So right click, calibrate, come in, pick the front of the car and back of the car, and make that 30 as well, and we'll just check if they still line up properly. So the fronts still line up and the backs still line up. It's close enough for what we're doing today. Okay, so I'm going to create, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide the top, so I can just see the side. I'm going to create a sketch, and I'm going to trace the outline of that car using the spline tool. And we want to do this with the minimum number of splines we can. Looks good, and I'm going to use the line tool for the windscreen. And near enough is good enough, and you can use these handle points to adjust this. So you could probably actually do the whole thing with just 2 splines if you adjusted the handles. So it's good practice to use less splines. And I need a line across the bottom, and then some circles for the wheels. And I'm also going to trace out that fender. Just try and have your fender finished before the front of the car, because it'll look better when we extrude it. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. Just get those wheels to line up properly. and I'm going to use an offset to make, set that to 0.5 to make a gap for the wheel. Okay, that's pretty good, I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to do is extrude the whole thing, and I'm going to extrude that symmetrically so that it is wider than my top view canvas. Okay, now I'm going to turn that body off. I'm going to turn the side view off. I'm going to go into the top and create a sketch, and I'm just going to trace the outline of the car body but not the fenders. So it's going to look something like that, and I'm going to put a line through the center, not all the way through, and I'm going to use the mirror tool. So object is that top line, the mirror line is the line through the center, and that way I can make sure my car is going to be symmetrical, and I'm going to make sure that looks okay at the end there. And again, I'm happy with that, so I'm going to click OK, turn that body back on. And now I'm going to extrude, and I'm going to pick that body there, but I'm going to use the intersection tool now, and symmetrical, to intersect and symmetrical, and that will chop off the sides. So now I roughly have the body of the car there, looks pretty good. Now I'm going to add the fenders, so turn the side sketch back on. I'm going to take this opportunity now to label the sketches. So my first sketch was the side. And top. Turn on that side sketch. And I'm going to do an extrude and pick the fenders. And again, if you click and hold, you can pick things that are underneath other things. So fenders, and I want the wheel as well. Or you can turn the body off to make it easier to pick. And again, this will be symmetrical. And I want to make this a join. And now I could turn that canvas back on to check the size. I'm just going to eyeball that now. And I'm pretty happy with that. I'll turn that sketch off for the moment. Now you can see here I've got this funny thing going on with the bottom of the wheels there. So I'm going to go back to that first extrude. I'm going to deselect the bottom of those wheels because we didn't actually want that. Okay, that looks better. But I still need to remove some of that wheel material. So I'm going to do another extrude and pick the wheels, symmetrical, and this operation will be a cut. And that looks okay. I'm happy with that. And I just need to check now that the wheels are still attached to the body. So they are. Alright, we don't need the sketches anymore. We're nearly done with this. This looks pretty good so far. But we can make it a little bit better. We can use the modify, and there's a tool in here called Fillet. And fillet is used for rounding edges and filling in gaps in edges. So use some filleting now to fix the shape of this a little bit. Now it's probably a good time to mention, when we have a look at the timeline here, we can see how we've gone about producing this 3D object. So we have our 2 canvases, we had sketches, and so far we've used 4 extrudes, and now the fillets there as well. And so if we want to change any of that stuff, we can double click on those things and go back and edit them. We decided we wanted larger or shorter fenders or something, we can do that. And I'm just going to undo that. Okay. That fillet, I'm not sure, maybe I want more filleting or less. I'm just going to do this by eye now. I'm not going to worry about what the original looked like. I'm going to leave it there, and then fillet, which is F on the keyboard, is a keyboard shortcut. Fillet the bonnet separately. And I'm going to fillet all the wheels a little bit. Alright, and you can muck around with that and see what else you might like to fillet that you think looks good. The other thing to remember is if you're not happy with the way your car looks, you can go back into your sketch and change things, and those edits should get reflected in your 3D model. Cool. Alright, nearly done. Last thing we're going to do is we're going to add our initials to the base. So I'm going to create a sketch, and in this time instead of creating a sketch on a plane, I'm actually going to create a sketch on the bottom of the car. Okay. And I'm going to add our my initials, same way we added them in the previous project. Alright, so you can muck around with that and get something you're happy with there. And then we're going to use an extrude. This time we're going to use the extrude as a cut and go back up into the body, 0.5 of a millimeter. Okay, and again, make that look nice. Alright, so that's now ready for 3D printing. So to make a file that we can 3D print with, go into the bodies. I'm going to right click on the body and click Save as STL. And OK. And the STL file is the type we use for 3D printing.